you guys hear what's happening in China with the lockdowns and spread of new variation of the COVID virus? Epoch Times reports. Take a listen.
Shijiazhuang, the capital city of Hebei province in northern China, has become a CCP virus hotspot. The newly confirmed cases in the past week involve several local schools and a kindergarten. The biggest challenge in this round of outbreak, according to the local health commission, is that more than 30% of the confirmed cases had false negative readings, 3 to 5 times before the patient finally tested positive. At least 38 confirmed cases are related to local schools, including 5 teachers, 6 staff, and 27 students. All 38 have symptoms, and it remains unknown how many asymptomatic patients there are in these schools, as the test results have proven to be unreliable. A 15-year-old high school student, diagnosed on January 15th, was the first case reported from Gaocheng, number 7 middle school. Soon after, more students, teachers, and canteen staff at this school were diagnosed with the CCP virus. In 2 nearby elementary schools, several students were infected. In another high school, a teacher was diagnosed on January 7th, and some of his neighbors were then confirmed to be infected.
The teacher who was diagnosed has been taken away. All his neighbors whose current test results are negative are in self-quarantine at home. No one is allowed to enter or leave the community. We have to stay at home.
The youngest infected is a 4-year-old kindergartner who was diagnosed on January 13th. In addition, 5 college students were diagnosed with the virus. 3 of them went to universities in Hebei province, and 2 just returned home from southern Chinese cities. About 87% of the confirmed patients live in Gaocheng district, which is currently the only district designated as a high-risk area in Hebei province. According to a local villager who posted a video to explain the situation, the first group of patients did not link their mild symptoms with the CCP virus, because the entire Hebei province had bragged about 0 domestic cases for months. As a result, they went to the village clinic to get prescriptions for flu or fever, and kept spreading the virus in the community. It was until an early woman who appeared to have a particularly serious cold had to go to a former hospital that the doctors discovered the CCP virus had already been spreading in Gaocheng district. The woman was diagnosed on January 2nd. Hebei authorities have ordered the construction of makeshift hospitals in multiple cities. A video taken on January 13th showed that workers are working day and night to build a makeshift hospital with 3,000 isolation wards in Shijiazhuang City. Hebei Health Commission reported that the new outbreak was very challenging and complicated because many patients had false negative results, 3 to 5 times before they were diagnosed. 2 weeks ago, Dalian City of Liaoning Province, another virus hotspot, reported that a patient had false negative results 10 times before his 11th test came out positive. As early as March last year, researchers in Spain, India, and the Czech Republic found that China's test kits gave incorrect results 70% of the time. Insiders in China's medical community recently told Radio Free Asia that they were all aware of the low accuracy problem with the Chinese-made test kits, and this problem had never been resolved.
Now we all saw the videos and the photos pouring in to social media of how they were partying hard for New Year's in China, in Wuhan, in Beijing. And look, you can see they're all wearing masks. They're not social distancing, but they're all wearing masks. And their vaccination program rolled out way before ours. But that didn't stop the spread. Meanwhile, in New York, it was desolate and barren. Nobody out in the streets, shut down. But, de Blasio and his wife seemed to have a good old time. You have to imagine the toll that it's taking on the bar and restaurant business. And it's not just in New York, it's happening all over the country. Down here in North Carolina, this was a food store that I passed by the other day, shut down. This is a restaurant that I passed by the other day, shut down. But the pawn store is still open, and the tobacco shop, smoke shop is still open. And the UN is saying that the vaccinations won't even stop the spread. In the United States, there's new cases popping up of a stronger variant all over where these vaccinations have rolled out. Take a listen.
This morning, a highly contagious strain of COVID, first detected overseas in England, has now turned up in this country for the first time. It was found in a Colorado man in his 20s who had not traveled.
It is more transmittable, so it is more contagious, and therefore it is more dangerous in that regard.
The best protection, including against that new strain, vaccines. But the Trump administration promised to inoculate 20 million people by year's end, falling far short.
It's not as if we didn't know that there would be this level of demand for vaccination.
In Florida, which has a record 22.7% positivity rate,
busy signals and no answer.
82-year-old Arnie Joseph among those anxiously trying to make an appointment to get the vaccine.
I've had 3 friends die from this, so I take it pretty seriously.
Hospitals in Tennessee, Georgia, and Texas now overwhelmed with a record number of COVID patients. In the current coronavirus epicenter, California, many ICUs are full.
Patients are dying like flies. It's like a war zone, and we're asking for help, and help's not coming.
With a second straight day of record COVID hospitalizations, the U.S. is potentially on course for an even bigger spike because of continuing holiday travel.
We're going to have an increase superimposed upon that surge, which could make January even worse than December.
Next week at Holy Cross Hospital in Fort Lauderdale, folks who received the initial Pfizer injection are supposed to get their follow-up shot. But that's a big problem because they don't have more vaccines. In San Diego, more Pfizer vaccines than they needed. To prevent it from being tossed after being brought from the deep freeze to room temperature, more than 300 San Diego firefighters and police got their own 911 call and then raced to get vaccinated.
An NBC analysis of the current rate of vaccinations shows that it would take 10 years to reach 80% of the country being vaccinated, and that's an important number because that's when herd immunity would begin. But 10 years, Craig, far longer than we anticipate.
They need 80% of America's population to reach herd immunity. And even with that 80% vaccinated, it would take 10 years. People, there are individuals that don't even want that vaccination. There are horror stories rolling in right now of people being damaged by the first dose, and they didn't even have enough of a supply to give the second. And with this rollout of the first dose, it seems like the virus is mutating. And that's without travel from abroad to the interior of our nation. With people wearing masks, with people social distancing, with businesses and schools being shut down. Something's not right here. And then we have allegedly a new president going to be inaugurated on the 20th. And what are his thoughts about travel bans and immigration bans? Let's take a listen.
The World Health Organization now has officially declared COVID-19 a pandemic. Downplaying it, being overly dismissive, or spreading misinformation is only going to hurt us and further advantage the spread of the disease. But neither should we panic or fall back on xenophobia. Labeling COVID-19 a foreign virus does not displace accountability for the misjudgments that have been taken thus far by the Trump administration. Let me be crystal clear. The coronavirus does not have a political affiliation. It will infect Republicans, independents, and Democrats alike, and will not discriminate based on national origin, race, gender, or zip code. It will touch people in positions of power as well as most vulnerable in our society, and it will not stop. Banning all travel from Europe or any other part of the world may slow it, but as we've seen, it will not stop it. And travel restrictions based on favoritism and politics rather than risk will be counterproductive. This is going to require a national response. not just from our elected leaders or our public health officials, but from all of us. We must, all of us, follow the guidelines of the health officials and take appropriate protections to protect ourselves and critically, to protect others, especially those who are most at risk for this disease. It's going to mean making some radical changes in our personal behaviors. More frequent and more thorough hand washing, staying home from work if you're ill, but also altering the deeply ingrained habits in our country like handshakes and hugs.
All right, Sleepy Joe. You just said a whole bunch of nothing. Handshakes and hugs. What about the travel bans? We all know you've been talking about lifting the ban from Muslim countries, which is a direct threat to national security, especially since, Trump took care of Soleimani. And then you're throwing around xenophobia card. What does that mean regarding travel ban from China and from the UK and other countries where the spread of this virus is astronomical, and how that's going to affect American citizens? Everybody's talking about masks, but the masks up until this very point have been ineffective. Everybody's talking about vaccinations, but now the virus has mutated. Trump said that he was going to vaccinate 20 million by year's end, but Biden threw out some ridiculous figure like he's going to vaccinate 100 million within the first 100 days of him being in office. And how is that possible unless you're going door to door and forcing people to inject things into their bodies that they do not want to? Meanwhile, Biden's talking about halting construction on the wall due to environmental damage. Has he lost his mind? Biden's looking to maintain DACA for over 600 recipients of it to keep them in the country, but there is a district court circuit judge, thank God, that wants to halt it. Then Biden wants to pass his TPS policy to protect Venezuelans, Hondurans, and Guatemalans after their countries were battered with hurricanes so they can seek refuge here. Biden also wants to rescind poor asylum policy, what he believes is poor asylum policy, and restore the catch and release from South American, Central American nations so that they'll be able and not be able to be denied re-entry into our nation. He also wants to increase the cap of admission of refugees, and we know we have millions here already. On top of that, he's making changes to legal immigration, wanting to increase our workforce when we already have millions of Americans out of work before COVID and now due to COVID. We don't need any more, work visas happening here. We need to put Americans that are already here to work. Who is this guy working for? It surely isn't the American people. This is not a good thing, people. This is not a good thing at all. Joe Biden being president is very detrimental to our nation on a whole, regardless of skin color or sexual orientation. I don't think people are realizing what they are applauding when they are applauding his presidency. It reminds me of this radio interview of a Rabbi Finkelstein. And everybody was saying, oh, that's just conspiracy theory. But everything the rabbi was saying that they were going to do, they are doing right now. They are trying to flood, then bankrupt this nation It's obvious. It's evident. And no, we don't have to just sit by and take it. We have our voices. We have certain platforms, just like mine that I'm currently building. And we need to voice our frustration and our disagreement with policies such as these and anything else they could cook up. I'm going to look for that Rabbi Finkelstein interview, and I'm going to post it after this so you guys can take a listen to it. So you can see the current climate, really grasp the current climate that we're in. I'm going to keep digging. I'm going to keep reporting, and I'll be back. I hope everybody is well, and I'm going to leave you with this little video clip that I came across that will blow your mind. Shalom.
Straight from China. Okay, so our title today, why Zhang, Zhang, Meng, these three will end the CCP completely. Pay attention.
前天还是哪天啊？我们先直播说了一个很重要的事情啊，大家可能有的人在考虑。今天早上我们直播时就问了这个啊，今早上安红还有这个莫博士还有赵博士说，郭先生说啊，这个大选将以滑稽啊方式结束，是吧？然后前几天说啊，这个中共某一派某家出手了，莫博士记得郭先生说过这话吧？是吧？对，记得，对，出手了。然后郭先生说啊，将以滑稽结束，还透露说什么黄色的。
The election is going to end in a funny way, and he revealed sex tapes.
郭先生直接说了
Mr. Girls said directly,
问到底怎么回事啊
this is in regards to the 3 laptops
透露那么一丁点
of Hunter Biden's.
之前我们说过91号文件、94号文件，伯伯是艾丽女士记得吧？是吧？对。
I don't want to talk over him.
91号、94号。
I've already viewed part of this.
我们之前说过91号是谁手上有？
But I'm afraid it's going to be
94号谁手
deleted,
上？
so I want to
其
get
中
out
一
there.
个是文字版的，一个是视频版的。
Okay, we got a text version, a video version,
视频版的就是硬
and
盘。
hard drives.
所以我们这里说是硬
The
盘。
hard drives. 3
告
of
诉
them.
大家啊，据细据可靠的，过几天大家会在外
This is just coming out in Western media now.
见到。
I became aware of it, I believe, Tuesday,
大家知道
and have been breaking it ever since then.
出手了，有3份重要的硬盘已经到了司法部手上。
The hard drives have been sent to the Department of
本来
Justice.
是他们给司法部的，但是
But someone within the DOJ
啊，这个拜登
working for Biden held it up,
但是
obstructed
维持
justice.
成差啊。
But with God's will,
爆料革命的战友啊，具体谁咱们就不说了，大家司法
it's been released,
然后把这个终于
and it has been passed to President Trump.
很多人说这到底什么东西啊？
It will definitely shock you.
绝对震惊。
Absolutely.
大家
Please be prepared.
心脏啊，把心脏先吃点，
Maybe take some heart disease
这
drugs.
个心脏病的药啊，准备好。
Are you ready? Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden.
这个东西啊，
All these things can be verified.
咱们说的
We are talking about the future from today.
啊，今天说未来的这个说未来，站在未来说历史啊。 亨特·拜登的哪些东西啊？黄色视频
Sex tapes,
啊，这个虐童视频，
pedo tapes,
一家一家
one by one.
亨特·拜登
Hunter Biden.
这个就是黄色的啊，
Extremely disturbing and obscene.
虐童的，
Pedophile, extremely.
极其让人看到
Not treating the Chinese as human beings. I told you they were trafficking out of Ukraine and China. I fucking knew it. The CCP did it.
仅是视频
Only videos? Only sex tapes?
是不是不止？
Let me tell you, more than that. Oh my God, I haven't seen past this. I don't know what he's going to say.
拜登
Biden, Z, Wang,
习王
Biden's son, please note when I say Biden here, I mean Joe Biden's son, Hunter. He signed a secret deal. The prepayment is $1 million. Just for signing the agreement, it's like a tip. And the whole deal was worth $4.5 billion. $4.5 billion of benefit. This is Hunter Biden's involvement. I need heart pills talking about this. I think I need to calm down a bit. It is said that these 3 hard drives, one hard drive, as I just mentioned, contains sex videos of Hunter Biden. The money he took and the agreement of his sexual abuse, just like Chen Feng. It also covers information regarding Kazakhstan. This Biden, I'm not talking about his son, Hunter Biden. His agreement with the Ukraine natural gas company. This is the first hard drive. The second hard drive contains the information and materials about Xi and Wang's overseas wealth. The second hard drive. These 2 hard drives. The first hard drive is from Xing and Meng's families. They're directly delivered it to the U.S. Department of Justice. It is said that another copy has been sent to Nancy Pelosi. It is said that one has been sent to Nancy Pelosi. They gave it to Pelosi as their purpose is to show her, we have the servers. We have the servers. Ha 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 ha. Yep. Ooh. This is so hot. I'm practically burning my fingers recording it. Don't ever think I don't have your secrets in possession. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, you fucking traitorous bitch, you're going down. This is sedition. This is, oh my God, this is so huge. Yeah. Beijing telling Nancy, you must do whatever it takes to win this election, otherwise you're in trouble. However, when the hard drives reached the DOJ, those who are pro-Biden took it under custody, but a fellow fighter of our whistleblowers movement got it. This is Zhang, Zhang, and Meng's strategy. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I can tell you for all these things. Many people ask, why is this killing 2 birds with 1 stone? It is because they have the second hard drive containing Xi and Wang's wealth information and other materials, their assets allocation in the U.S. This is what we mentioned earlier, remember? Architecture and art project, remember? This is Xi and Wang's plan. An extremely grand plan. A very big plan. This is really beyond our imagination. This is insurrection. This plan is to control not only the 1.4 billion Chinese people, also the United Nations and the United States, the U.S. president, any future presidents, from now on and many years after. All shall be under the Communist Chinese People's Republic. It involves Kazakhstan and Ukrainian national gas. It was arranged by Yi Jianming, who's now missing. He did this. Yeah. He was arrested straight away and went straight back to China, where he's now missing. Which means whoever involved in this plan were arrested. This is Xi and Wang's operation. This is one case. Another one is Ambog Insurance. Ambog was involved too. Wu was planning things in New York. Again, got arrested after going back to China. So you can see how brutal the CCP is. Oh yeah, we know. Why did they provide the hard drives? Why did they have those on hand? There's no doubt about it. Meng Jingzhu was, I'm probably butchering their names, and I hope you can read subtitles faster than me. They want to use this to blackmail both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats. Why would Xing, Zhang, Meng provide these hard drives? In plain word, to protect themselves. To tell all the Americans who have been collaborating with the CCP, look at Xi and Wang, they have all the dirty materials of yours, which means you should blame Xi and Wang. During the Hu Jintao era and Jing Zemin era, we were sincere to you. Never tricked you. Never played dirty with you. But Xi and Wang are ruthless, as you can see. So they directed the conflict to Xi and Wang, but in God's will, these hard drives ended up in the hands of President Trump. Of course, many people asked, if they have the dirty materials of President Trump, let me tell you this, definitely not. Because he's never collaborated with the CCP. People might ask if this would really affect the election. After all, it's Biden's son. Will it really affect Joe Biden? Well, it's up to the voters how they see this. Right? Oh, yeah. Between these three hard drives, all the things about Hunter Biden, that's a different story. These are judicial matters. Also, including Bloomberg's involvement. Bloomberg is also in these hard drives. All included. Also including the bioweapon plan in the third hard drive. The third hard drive. All the information within these three hard drives reportedly have been delivered to President Trump.